Hello everyone. In this video, I'll walk you through the developer journey, get insights from OrientDB database using PyOrient through IBM Data Science Experience, that is DSX. This journey gives you a head start on how to work with graphs in OrientDB through IBM Data Science Experience using PyOrient. PyOrient is a Python driver for OrientDB for connectivity to the database and to operate on data, and then finally to get insights from the database. OrientDB is a multi-model database supporting graph, document, key value, and object models. But the relationships are managed in graph databases with direct connection between the records. This journey will help you understand end-to-end flow starting from downloading the dataset, cleansing of data, extract entities and relationships from the dataset, connect with OrientDB, create a new OrientDB database, populate database with node classes, edge classes, vertices, relations, and then finally execute queries to get insights from the data. In this journey, we'll demonstrate first on how to set up an IPython notebook on IBM DXS connecting to OrientDB using PyOrient. And then secondly, on how to perform various operations on OrientDB like CRUD and extract insights from the data. When the reader has completed this journey, they'll understand how to create a Kubernetes cluster and deploy OrientDB on it, create and run a Jupyter notebook in IBM DXS, run OrientDB queries using PyOrient module in IBM DXS, and then finally visualize the results in the OrientDB Studio. This is the architectural diagram for this journey. This is nothing but the chronological order of the steps in which the user have to perform the operations. First, there is a prerequisite that a user needs to set up a Kubernetes cluster on IBM Bluemix using Kubernetes service, and then deploy OrientDB on that Kubernetes cluster, create a Jupyter notebook on IBM DXS. So every Jupyter notebook on DXS is powered by Apache Spark. Each time a Jupyter notebook is created on IBM DXS, it is attached to an instance of object storage which stores the files used by the notebook. Then user uploads the configuration file and dataset in the object storage, and then updates the credentials of the files in the notebook, and then finally load them into the notebook. Then notebook finally communicates with the OrientDB through PyOrient. That was the architectural flow of the developer journey. This developer journey includes components like OrientDB, IBM Data Science Experience, Bluemix Object Storage, Jupyter Notebook, Kubernetes Cluster. There are some feature technologies in this journey like data science and graph databases, which are becoming very popular these days. There's a prerequisite, as I told earlier, to this journey that a user needs to set up a Kubernetes cluster using Kubernetes service on IBM Bluemix, and then deploy OrientDB on Kubernetes. User can follow these two given links to do so. Let us discuss these steps in detail one by one. As I discussed earlier, there is a prerequisite to this developer journey. A user needs to set up Kubernetes cluster on IBM Bluemix using Kubernetes service and then deploy OrientDB on that Kubernetes cluster. To do so, you can follow this developer journey, deploy OrientDB on Kubernetes. To create notebook and to use Jupyter Notebook on DXS, you first need to sign up on IBM Data Science Experience. If you have already signed up on IBM Data Science Experience, you can skip this step and straight away move on to creating notebook. If you have not, you can use this link to do so. Let us check on how to create the notebook. This is the screenshot of the page of Create Notebook. You need to first click on this tab from URL, give the name to your notebook, enter the description for your notebook, For the notebook URL, use this notebook URL and then hit the Create Notebook button. On hitting the Create Notebook button, a DSS Spark and DXS object storage will be created in your Bluemix account. Now let's add data in the notebook. For the purpose of this tutorial, I have used Kaggle IMDb 5000 movie dataset and I've trimmed the data to 600 rows and renamed the file as graphdb insights.csv. You can click Find and Add Data, look for 10/01 icon and its Files tab. Click Browse and navigate to graphdb on your graphdb insights.csv on your computer and add the files to the object storage. Repeat the above steps to upload config.json DXS configuration file to object storage from the URL this. To use the data files in object storage, you first need to update the notebook with the service credential. To do so, let's have a look at the notebook. You click on 10/01 button, that is find and add data button. You should see your files in the Files tab, that is config.json and insights graphdb.csv. To update credentials for config.json, click on Insert to Code and click on Insert Credentials. You should see cells like this. And to insert graphdb.csv, click on Insert to Code and click on Insert Pandas data frame, and there should appear a function like this. Now an IMDb data frame is loaded into the notebook. Now since that Kaggle dataset will have lots of rows and columns empty, it is important to clean the data. So I have dropped all the empty rows and columns from the Kaggle dataset, and you can see the data frame like this. So the notebook has been divided into various sections, with each section performing specific tasks. First is the setup, which deals with the installation of the OrientDB, importing the packages and libraries, adding the credentials of the files from object storage and loading them in the notebook for use. Then the utility functions and the core functions. The notebook creates a graph with two node classes, person class and a movie class, with person class as its attributes as name, Facebook likes, roles, whether it's an actor or a director, and a movie class as its attributes as title, year, duration in minutes, IMDb rating, its genre, plot keywords like number of critique for reviews, and the movie Facebook likes. There are two types of relationships involved in connecting the nodes. That is the edges, the edge classes. One is worked with, which is between two person nodes who have worked together in the same movie. And another one is acted in, which is between a person node and a movie node for a person who have acted in a particular movie. So the utility functions are written to keep a check on the duplicacy, as if not exists is valid only for creating the properties of a class in the OrientDB. Unlike in SQL, if not exists doesn't work with create class or insert statements. So there are utility functions written for the same. And the core functions are for creating the database, creating the graph as discussed above, and get insights from the graph created. And the last part deals with getting insights from the data and visualizing them. Let's check the flow of the notebook in the notebook itself. Here the notebook installs the PyOrient package. In this cell, all the necessary packages and libraries are imported. The cells deal with adding the credentials and then the loading the JSON file and the object storage for use, loading the IMDb movie dataset for use. That's how the data frame should look like after dropping all the empty rows and columns in the dataset. To connect to the OrientDB, you need to uncomment this line and replace the content in the angular bracket with the IP address of your Kubernetes cluster, and make sure that the node port you write here is mapped to the port 2424 on the Kubernetes, as the other port 2480 is for the OrientDB Studio. There are some utility functions, as I told them. They are to check the they are to keep the check on the duplicacy. The cell deals with the core functions like create database, node class, edge class, creating records, creating relationships between them, and then comes the insight functions. So for this notebook gets the two insights. First is the most mentioned movie, so which has been calculated with the movie which has the maximum number of Facebook likes. And the second insight is is like all the movies with the IMDb rating above 7, they are clustered together. This is the function for that. Now the last part deals with the calling of the core functions, the creating database, node classes, edge classes, and records and relationships. And then, as I discussed earlier, OrientDB supports flexible schema. So if I want to add this particular property in a person class, I can do so in by keeping my data in the JSON format and then using the create record function. I'm calling the function create record no schema, which will create the record using this JSON file. And lastly, I'm calling the insights function. And then the visualization of the results. For the visualization of the results, OrientDB has provided an OrientDB Studio, which is an interactive dashboard. It looks like this. You can log in, connect to the OrientDB database, and you should see the browse window. So if you run a query like, you want to see all the movies with the IMDb rating greater than 7, you can run and you can get the results. These are all the movies with IMDb rating greater than 7. And then if you want to know all the co-workers or all the co-actors, you can write this query and run. You get all the properties of this class, the edges coming in, the edges going out for acted in and worked with, and you can just send this result of the query to the graph editor in the OrientDB Studio, and you should get the results like this. So these are all the co-actors of Tom Hanks, co-actors and the directors of the Tom Hanks. And if you want to know a particular node, you can just click and you should see the properties here. So Tom Hanks is related to this person, which is a director, Robert Zemeckis. That's how you can explore the results in the OrientDB Studio. That's what you can just go through, run the notebook if you are new to IPython notebook, and then analyze the results. As I told, there's a function called most mentioned in the notebook, which gives you the results of the most mentioned movie as per the movie having maximum number of Facebook likes. And then you can analyze the results in the OrientDB as shown. You can run these queries in the browse section and get the results. There is a small and here, like, to find the co-workers of actor Tom Hanks, you can run this query in the graph editor as well and get the same results. You can follow this video tutorial on OrientDB Studio, created for the purpose of this notebook to demonstrate the results of the queries used in the tutorial. Thank you.